all, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, in the name of His only begotten Son, who the word ignorantly calls Jesus the Christ, whose name in the Paleo Hebrew is Massey, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. I'm Brother Lamak,
Brother Gabaryaahla.
We the Servants Assembly, and we come to you with another spiritual exhortation lesson, right? And you know, based off real life situations right now, right? Because you know, you got the sister Sonya Massey, you know, who was murdered and killed by Esau Edom, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of that is judgment, but also a lot of that is you know, basically the sister not really understanding who she's praying to and who she's actually giving reverence to in these days, man. You know. And you know, we know that the letter J wasn't invented until 500 years ago. You know what I mean? So we know that that's not the name of you know, Mashiach Yahweh, who named in the Hebrew is Yahweh, right? So we're gonna start off with Psalm 7 and 35, right? Because these nations, to a certain degree, they feel like when they do us any harm, that they doing the work of the Lord, right? Because they haven't really been judged. The Most High judges every day, right? But as a whole, the people, the so-called YT man, he hasn't been judged. These other nations haven't been thoroughly judged for their atrocities of the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American and Seminole Indian. Got that? Con.
Start at 17.
7 and 35.
Start at 17.
I do. Con. Let me get Lamentations 4 and 17. When you get it, just bring it up. Because we, you know, these other nations, they feel like they just getting away with it, so they just doing whatever they want to do, putting us to death, killing Israelites at a high rate.
4 and 17. It's the book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
We have watched for what?
For a nation that could not save us.
Because we calling the so-called white man, we calling the police up. Sister Sonya Massey called the police up thinking that, you know, they was going to provide some type of help for her. She all outside the door telling them they went this way, they went that way. But at the end of the day, how many men, how many good men or hedges of protection did she run away? If when you're a single mother and you got that independent spirit, a man don't really want to really be around a woman that's just constantly talking about how independent she is, because we have an order through the spirit. We understand our order. Even when we don't have a dime to our pocket, we still want to be rulers over our home. It doesn't matter what we have and what we don't have. We're natural born leaders. So we don't want our women, you know, constantly usurping authority. So, you know, we argue, we fight, and then we wind up separating. Then what happens? You call your enemy up to protect you from danger. Your hedge of protection is gone out of the house because you can't get in order, right? Read that one more time.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
We watched for a nation that could not do what?
That could not save us.
And the so-called white man can't save us. The only person that can save us is Mashiach Yahweh, man. And Yahweh. Bashem Yahweh. That's the only person that can save us. We're so lost as a people that we actually think that we can go to our enemy, had us in captivity for hundreds of years, rape, robbed, and murdered, cut us in half, cut our women in half from between their legs, tied 2 horses to their legs and snatched the woman and ripped the woman and the baby fall out. And they step on the baby saying, we think that those people are going to come back and save us. A God that looks like the devil that the Bible speaks of is going to come back and redeem for what? In that case, he would have been came back. Right? Something else, man. Hold on.
Yeah, man, we gotta wake up, man. We seeing the same thing go on back after back, time after time, man. We keep marching ain't gonna do it, man. And we keep talking ain't gonna do it, man. We gotta get back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, man. That's the only way we gonna get up out of it. That's the only way everything gonna come back the way it's supposed to be, man.
Time.
For real, man. Gotta wake up, my people, man.
Yeah, because, you know, we spend a lot of time, our people spend a lot of time cooning for the so-called white man. You know, when brothers out there trying to get a white man their judgment, who's the first person to come up out of the woodwork? Jake and Eve. And then we give the so-called white man an out. You know, he was confounded. We had him dead to straights, dead to rights. We was breaking it down to him, we was giving him his judgment, and then Captain Saver, goddamn YT man, comes out of nowhere and starts being contentious against his own people, or she's being contentious against her own people, and then guess what? The so-called white man just eases out like a creep. He just eases on out of the picture, and all of a sudden now we going against our own people. We have to stop doing that. When the so-called white man getting his just due, you need to let him get his just due, and stop being a god dog on coon, man. And Sister Sonya Massey, she called the police, which if you go back into the history of the police, right? Those started with Irish jail people from Ireland that was criminals in jail. You understand? These the same people that we calling to save us. Okay, yeah, they may have a Jake or, you know what I'm saying, from Northern or Southern Kingdom with them. Okay, but that doesn't mean that they're going to change that, you know, that what they do. They just going to do what they do, and Jake going to be looking crazy, and he's not going to go against them, because that's like a fraternity. That's like a brotherhood. That's a gang. That's no different than Crips. That's no different than the Bloods. That's no different than the Latin Kings. They're a gang. They're not going to snitch on each other.
They got a code.
They got a G code, a C code. Right? Where do you think officer comes from? Officer comes from what? Overseer. The Irish man was brought over here from jail to be an overseer over the Negro man and a Latino man. Then over time they became officers. The root word of officer is overseer. So you're gonna call the so-called Irish man, right? It was begun in wickedness. So you understand? But you got a hedge of protection. You able to govern your own people. That's what we trying to get to. We trying to get to where we can govern our own people, right? Because you know what you're getting. You know that the person that's coming to govern is gonna rule the case in righteousness, and it's gonna be according to the commandments, like we had the Levites. And they done certain things in order to get the answer and get the understanding of what's going on, and they ruled according to the Most High's will, not according to the will of the damn land, man. Being damn wicked and being just all out, just devils and dragons, man. Right? You got something?
Yeah, God.
Bring it out.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17 and verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee.
Shall not do what?
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren.
No, we could choose any nation to be kings and gods over us.
One from among thy brethren.
Nah, we could vote for the East Indian wench, Kamala Harris, and the orange man, Donald Trump.
One from among thy brethren.
You have to choose a leader or governor according to your own race, right? According to your own kingdom, Northern or Southern Kingdom. That's the only thing that we can have over us, man. You understand? And that's why when we get these people in, they don't have our best interests at heart. They don't understand what we go through. They don't think like we think. They don't talk like we talk. They don't understand what we go through on a daily basis. They're not put here to understand us because the Most High divided the nations. He didn't make us all the same, and we got the same thoughts, and we do the same thing, and we go through the same trials and struggles. The Most High said that we are peculiar people to Him, pursuant to the book of 1 Peter 2 and 9. We are give me that 1 Peter 2 and 9. Also pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy 7:6 and a host of other precepts that describes who we are. We just not no average people walking around here. And Salaki for the noise. We are out in the wilderness of Alabama, right? You know, you liable to see a kid run across, but you know, but it's just crazy, man. Let me know when you got it, King.
I got you.
Bring it up.
It's the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
But ye are a chosen generation.
A what?
A chosen generation. The
Most High said that we are a chosen generation. That means that when the generation started from the beginning. Yahushua came from the if I'm not mistaken, the 14th generation. Right? So it continues to keep going. Long as we keep providing children through the Spirit and generating, we are this is prophecy. We are what you would call a chosen generation. This generation here is going to be the generation that's going to issue in the second coming of Mashiach Yahushua. We, Lord willing, will be here to see the second coming of our big brother Mashiach Yahushua, man, and the angels, and get beamed up out of this wicked and hateful system, man. Right? Now let me go. Let's go back to Lamentations 4, and let me get 18 real quick. Lamentations 4 and 18. Right? So we look for people that's not gonna help us. They don't care. If you look at that police that was with the other YT man, other YT police, he didn't worry about nothing. He didn't go, oh, we need to help her. We need to do this. We need to do that. He didn't say that because he don't care. Go ahead.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, and verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
They hunt our steps.
What do?
They hunt our steps.
They hunted that woman down in her own house, man. They walked all in her room, walked all around the back. She didn't ask them to go in her room. It will blow this way. They ain't nothing but the wind now. It want to blow our sign, but most are willing it'll stay up, you know. But yeah, they hunt our steps, man. Go ahead.
That we cannot go in our streets.
We can't. The woman couldn't even go in her own living room, man. She couldn't even go in her kitchen to check the pot. She left the pot on the stove. She couldn't even go check to see the temperature of the pot to cut the eye off, man.
That they told her to go do, right?
Yeah. She went in there to check to cut the pot off, and then they told her to drop the pot. What you supposed to do with the pot? Leave it on the stove? This was a planned attack. They wanted to kill her, man.
Exactly.
Y'all stop being fools to this government and what they trying to push. They want us to fight them. Every time they kill one of us, it's always during the summer when it's hot. They want us to get hot. They want us to be upset. They want us to feel like we going through something. They want us to fight them back so they can have a righteous reason to kill us. As long as we docile, man, they just gonna keep doing it. The book of Genesis 49 said Judah is a lion's whelp. He crouched down as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Who gonna rise up the kingdom of Judah? Who gonna rise up the kingdom of Ephraim, man? Who gonna rise us up? That's what it's all about, man. Jump to verse 22, King.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, and verse 22. The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished.
The what?
The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished. O daughter of Zion.
Right, man, because, hey, look, they think that what they doing is righteous. And to a certain degree, they is doing the Most High, you know, what the Most High sent them out to be, they swore. But at the end of the day, all that extra stuff they be doing to us, man, the Most High didn't send them for the rape, rob, and murder us. Rape us, rape the boys, rape the babies. The Most High didn't say do all of that. When the Most High say do that? They took it a step further, man. in a time where our iniquity had an end, man. Pursuant to the book of Amos, the first chapter. Right? Give me that. Give me Amos 1 and 11. It's locked. Kind of windy out here, Israel. I'm getting it together. Yeah, so we gotta stop looking to these other nations to help us. Pursuant to the book of Lamentations 4 and 17, man. I was looking for that. They're not in trouble as other men. It was Psalm something. 35, so one of them. Anyway, let me get that.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 1 and verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom.
For how many?
For 3 transgressions of Edom.
Right, because they done took it a step further. They already had 1, 2, 3 strikes. Right? The third transition, so for 3, go ahead.
And for 4.
And for what?
And for 4.
And for 4. So that means they took it a step past 3. If you look at any number, when you go from 3, that's the end. So when you take it to 4, that's overstepping your boundaries, man. You know, raping the men, butt breaking us and whatever. Go ahead.
I will not turn away the punishment thereof.
So for that, he's not going to turn back that punishment, right? Go ahead.
Because he did pursue his brother with the sword.
He pursued us with the sword still to this day. He pursued his brother and sister with the sword. He came in there with the modern day sword, which is the 9mm, the chopper, the whopper. Right? Go ahead.
And did cast off all pity.
And he ain't had no pity for that woman. When did Esau have pity for Sonya Massey? They said, oh man, the blood getting all, look, the blood running. Oh, it's getting on my shoes. They was having a conversation. Like she wasn't a real person that was just standing there with her life. Like she was just nothing. Oh, the blood running over. Oh, it's getting on my shoes. Doing this, it's doing that. These people don't have no common decency. So I'm thinking these people, they came from the caves of Georgia, Russia. What caveman you know got decency, man? What troglodyte you know got decency? Go ahead.
And his anger did tear perpetually.
For what? Perpetually, right? So that means it kept building. It kept building from the time when that thing happened with him and Jacob when they was little. That anger kept building perpetually, all the way to this point. That spirit that they have in them is building perpetually, man. Go ahead.
And he kept his wrath forever.
He kept it. He just let it go.
He kept his wrath forever.
So the so-called white man kept their wrath forever, man. They came up in that woman's house and just killed her without mercy, man. Read.
But I will send fire upon Teman.
So Teman, that's one of the I believe grandsons of Esau, the Temanites, right? Go ahead.
Which shall devour the places of Basra.
Of Basra, that's somewhere over in the Middle East around Edom, man. Remember the Mosai said who came from dyed garments from Basra, man. That's Hamashiach Yahushua. He's gonna step all over the so-called white man, right? Because I think that's in the book of Jeremiah, Isaiah, man. Right? So let's get Romans 9 and 23 real quick. Romans 9 and 23. Right, man. So we gotta stop being so forgetful, man. You know, we had Amar Arbery lose his life. We had the brother at the Wendy's in Atlanta lose his life. We went out there to protest it. We went out there teaching. We went out there rebuking. And 5 minutes later, Jake and Eve want to start barbecuing and dancing and doing the damn limbo, man. We got to stop being so forgetful and stop being so forgiving. Because Esau has not forgiven us in none generation. Not no generation. The Most High said his anger tear perpetually. He still ain't forgave us, man. Go ahead.
This is the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 23. And that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessel of mercy.
On the who?
On the vessels of mercy.
So the Most High, in that scripture, the vessels of mercy is Israel. The Most High calls us the vessels of mercy. Everybody, we give everybody mercy. When they do things to us, we give everybody mercy. And what do we get? We get nothing. We get no kind of mercy, right? So let's get Let's get Zechariah 11 and 5.
Mr. Lock Israel, we're having a little technical difficulties. Right, so we're going to go to the book of Zechariah 11 and 5. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11 and verse 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So from the top it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. Right? Who's the people that possesses us? The so-called white man possesses us, man. Right? Those are the people that slay us and hold themselves not guilty. They shoot us down dead in the street. Right? That puts a knee on our neck. That does all of these things. Now, Esau, he'll let a few slip through the cracks. Right? He'll let Derek Chauvin get locked up. He'll even arrest the boy in Buffalo that killed all them sisters and brothers, and those older sisters and brothers in Buffalo. He'll even let him get locked up. But they'll gingerly take him to the ambulance, give him water. To the young YT boy that killed those people in the Carolinas, they'll give him McDonald's. They'll do all of these things, right? Because they possess us and we're their property. So in their minds, they're not guilty for it, regardless of what laws they try to put in place or what type of false sense of justice or false sense of equality that they put up between the Israelites and the heathen. But in their minds, they're not guilty anyway, right? It says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them, right? Who sold us into captivity on cargo slave ships? The so-called white man, these other nations, right? It says, that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. So, how are they rich? They're rich through what? The free labor of slavery that they got. A 500 to 600 year head start over everybody that's over here is the so-called white man. That's why they're rich. Free labor. Hands that can create, that can build. Blessed hands. Blessed hands of the Israelites, the northern and southern kingdom, right? It says, so that's how they're rich. They're rich because they have ownership. They're kings. And we'll get into that later. They're over a nation of people. They're rich. It says, and blessed be the Lord. So they think that the Lord blessed them with the riches and blessed them with to have Israel under captivity. Which in a way, you can say almost that's the truth, but it had a lot to do with some things that we didn't do. And we'll get into that. And their own shepherds pity them not. Because while all these different things getting happy, man, where's Al Sharpton, man? Where is Jesse Jackass? Why do all these so-called black people pop out of nowhere when things go bad? But you never see them any other time before then. And then nothing changes. Right? So our shepherds pity us not. These other nations see how the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American is being treated in the United States of America. They see that. They say, damn, they don't have any pity for these people, so why should we? Because when the Asian man come over here and opens up a restaurant, he doesn't feel like we are good enough to stand in front of his store or stand in his lobby. The ones that allow us to do it, they want to be down, and a lot of them are terrified of us because of the picture that's being portrayed about us throughout the world. Everybody sees us as this so-called white man had came on I think this African dyke or whatever she was asking him questions. He was like, yeah, the black people, they beat up people. It's like people think that we just walk around beating up people. And that's not the truth. Actually, we're the most docile people and the most cool and laid back people that you could ever meet. We're not hostile at all. You know, a lot of us are just blessed because the Most High blessed us, man. You know, he blessed David. He blessed Saul to fight in his hands to war, right? So let's go from there and let's go ahead and keep it moving. Because why did the Most High put the so-called YT man who was Esau Edom over us, man? Why did he choose him to be over us, right? So let's get the book of Genesis, chapter 27. In verse 38. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 27, and verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the heavens from above, right? So the Most High gave him all these different lands to roam all the way through, to just have, man, like the dews of heaven, the grass of the earth. He's over all these lands. He has embassies everywhere. He's all over the place, right? It says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass that when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, right? So the Most High gave the blessing of the sword over to Israel, right? Like not Slack, to Esau, right? So let's prove that. Let's get Psalms chapter 17 to verse 13, right? Because a lot of people that say, you know, that's not Esau. Esau's not the so-called white man. He doesn't have anything to do with it, whatever the case may be, right? So let's get this real quick. It's lucky if I'm moving kind of slow. Okay. It's the book of Psalms chapter 17 and verse 13. Now this is a psalm of David, right? This is a prayer of David. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So the Most High, so David said that the wicked is the Most High's sword, right? Now let's find out who the wicked is, right? Let's find out who the wicked. Let's get Malachi chapter 1 and 4. The David says, save us, cast him down. Cast down the so-called white man, who is the wicked and who is thy sword, right? So let's get Malachi. Chapter 1 and verse 4. We'll start at 3. It's the book of Malachi chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, And I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Where is Edom? Say it. So Edom is what? That's another word for the so-called white man, which is Esau. Edom, which means red, right? The red man. Esau, which is Isashua, which means wasted away. It says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build it, but I will throw it down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation for forever. Right? So the so-called white man, which is Edom, the Most High has indignation for them forever, man. Right? If you go to the book of Amos 1:11, he'll say the same thing. Right? It says they say that we are impoverished, right? So they went into the caves of Georgia, Russia. They were impoverished people, right? And also during that 1,000 years, when the Moors, which were a blend of some Hamites and some Israelites and Muslims, when we were actually together at that time, hey, Esau was impoverished. He was in the caves of Georgia, Russia. But he said, we are impoverished, but we will build. But the Most High said, yeah, you will build, but I will throw it down. Right? So when you go into that, the Most High called Esau Edom, the wicked, right? Now let's prove that again. Let me get the book of Job 9-24. It's the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24. It says, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Right? So who is this person that the Lord gave the world to? Right? The world. When you're going into the world right here, it's talking about what? It's talking about these lands, these countries, these land masses. The so-called white man has embassies in I think over 50 countries in the all over the world. He has embassies, right? Where he's watching and having some kind of political aspect on the life of these different nations and these different people, man. And the ones that he does not have embassies are called what? What's the word I'm looking for? They like to call them third world countries. So the ones that the people that they don't want, the people that do not want USA involved in their activities and what goes on, those is what the United States consider third world countries. Right? They're not protected. They're not covered. Right? So and those people don't get very little assistance with health, food, army, whatever. So it's like, if you're not gonna let us join what you got going on, then we'll do nothing for you at all. But we'll do everything for everybody else. That's how the Most High, that's how the so-called white man divides people, right? Because the so-called white man, he'll go into the Dominican Republic and give them money, give Northern Kingdom, which is the tribe of Simeon, give them everything in the world, have all kind of trips and build all kind of hotels and whatever the case may be. But right directly over the fence is Haiti, where you find your Levitical priest, who he does nothing for. So then what does that do? That causes a rift between the brothers. The instruments of war have a beef between each other because of the assistance that that DR is getting and the lack thereof that Haiti is getting. So now you got an internal beef. They even put the light skin against the dark skin. It's the same thing. You got some Northern Kingdom, they come over here, they light skin, whatever the case may be, they don't like us, who's dark skin. Even if you go over there, you got different places down in Puerto Rico called Louisa, different places like that where they have people my complexion. And then they have, and those are your, what's the word, the girls, prietas, and all these different nicknames they have for those who are dark skinned, man. Morenitas, whatever. You know what I mean? Moreno, whatever. So you have to understand that these are the games that the so-called white man plays to separate us and have us at odds with each other, right? But it says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. It says he that covered the faces of the judges. So who came in and covered the faces of the judges and made a mighty austere so-called black man pursuant to the Bible and pursuant to every other precept in the Bible that's based off the color of the Father and the Son, who took that, changed that, and made that into a so-called red man by the name of Cesare Borgia, and used that face to deceive the world. He covered the faces of the judges. Who are all the rest of the judges? Are Abraham, Moses, the prophets, all of them. all of them in the Bible are painted as so-called white men with bald heads at the top. Like a bird nest at the top, right there. Okay, so who covered the faces of the judges, and who has the world been given into the hands of? You can't get around it. It's the so-called white man. And the Most High even gets facetious at the end. He says, if not, where and who is he? So the Most High is saying, if what I'm saying ain't true, then you tell me who is. Who is the border of wickedness, and who has the world been given to? Who covered the faces of the judges thereof? He's asking that question because he knows the answer. And you should know the answer based off what he's saying, right? So let's go ahead and let's move from that. And let's get Revelations 13 and 10, the classic. Because look, it is what it is. And again, this lesson still is about Sonya Massey, man. This is the people that murdered that woman is the Most High sword, man. You never know what's going on. How wicked she has been. What type of person she was before that. Why was this her judgment? Now, even if this is her judgment, it doesn't take away from the part that these are the border of wickedness. It doesn't take away at all the fact that the person that killed her is the wicked according to the Bible. It doesn't change that at all. But you have to be able to think about this thing in more than one angle, man. You can't just take it how it is. But we all still have to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments so that we can get the hell up out of here, because this is going to continue to happen as long as we all stay in sin and remain in sin, right? So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, and it's going to be verse 10. It says, I'll start at verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So who led us into captivity? Huh? We know from Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Right? And we know from just his history, that the so-called white man led us into captivity. The Most High said he shall go into captivity. And says, he that killeth with the sword. We just went to the book of Genesis chapter 27 and 38 and said that the Most High's blessing to Esau was the sword. David even attested to this man being the wicked, as we read in Malachi 1 and 4 and Job 9 and 24, that this man would be wicked and the sword. Revelation 13 and 10 just said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, which we know is the YT man, and he that killeth with the sword. So this same person, that's the wicked, that killeth with the sword, must be killed with the sword. We know in the book of Numbers, so like I believe the 25th chapter, if I'm wrong, then I'll go back over it, right? But it says that the only way that the blood, roughly paraphrasing, the only way that the Most High requires blood, first of all, and the only way that you can cleanse the blood that was shed in the land is by the blood of him that shed it. So the Most High is saying that the person that shed blood, that killed with the sword, the only way that can be right, it's like if I'm moving too fast, the only way that can be right is for that same person's blood to be shed, the one that shed the blood of others. It's just right down the line. It is what it is, right? But why did the Most High send the sword against us? Right? Because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah. We refuse to keep the commandments, man. So let's get Proverbs 21 and 1. It's the Most High's will that we go through what we go through. Hey, we gotta earn this thing. We can't just think the Most High ain't just gonna give it to us, because we gave him hell. So we're not just gonna get this thing just willy-nilly, man. You know. Now ultimately all Israel will be saved, But the way that the Most High chooses to end your life or to separate your spirit from your flesh is all up to His discretion. And you will it will behoove you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments in the Lord, so that you'll be beamed up and not be separated from your flesh and your spirit violently through the hands of Esau or that ICBM missile, right? So it's the book of Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 1. It says, the king's heart, which is his mind, the king's mind is in the hand of the Lord, right? So who's the king? King is short for kingdom. The king is a person that rules over a kingdom. We know that this is the kingdom of Esau right now. He is the king. His mind, his heart is in the hands of the Most High. So the Most High is going to use him to rule over his people. And that's what he did. He said he's going to put a base people above us. The children of fools, man. Who Job wouldn't allow near his dogs, man. These people are over us, and their kingdom is what we're in. This is the kingdom of the planet of Esau. Watch that movie, you get a little bit more understanding of why I said that. Right? So, Proverbs 21 and 1, it says, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and the rivers of the water he turneth wherever he will. Right? So the spirit of these people, the wisdom, the spirit, the water, sometimes it's considered water. It says, he shall turn it wherever he wants. So he'll put the so-called white man in control, rule over us, and he'll turn it whichever way he wanted. Worse, good, bad, happy, whatever. The Most High controls everything. He controls the hearts, which is the mind of Esau. So the Most High is the reason why the sword is against us, right? And also for us. See, the Most High, he's not going to be wrong for doing anything that he's doing. Right? So let's get Exodus chapter 24 and 7. Because simultaneously, by him putting the so-called YT man over us, he's chastening us. But at the same time, he's also fulfilling prophecy. And he's also getting us back for what we've done at the same time. So the Most High, the way he strategizes his things, you know, you'll understand it more through the scripture, but we'll never fully understand the full capacity of the mentality of Yahweh Basha. I don't even want to know the full capacity of the mind of Yahweh. It would destroy me. It would literally destroy me if I knew everything Yahweh do. Right? I can't contain that. That's why we learn in part, we prophesy in part, roughly paraphrasing, right? Let's get Exodus chapter 24 and verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. Right? So he took the book that had the contract in it, and he read the contract to the people in layman's terms, right? It says, and they said, the audience, the people that was listening, all that the Lord had said, so all the covenant, everything that was written down, all the words of the contract, we will do. And be obedient, and we'll continue to do it. We'll be obedient to the contract that the Most High put out for the children of Israel, right? Verse 8, and it says, and Moshe took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the contract, the blood of the covenant, which Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai had made with you concerning all these words, right? So the Most High made a blood covenant with us. So what's the only way to cleanse out a blood covenant? With blood. So that's why the Most High sent his sword out against us, which is Esau, pursuant to the book of Psalms and many more books. So the Most High gets it back in blood. You hear Jake say, I'm going to get it back in blood. Yeah, I'm getting it back in blood. Well, guess what? The Most High got it back in blood. He's still getting it back in blood. Right? So let's get Nehemiah 10 and 29. That's Nehemiah 10 and verse 29. Like it as well. Y'all get there before me. All praise to the Most High. This is the book of Nehemiah, chapter 10, and verse 29. I think that's what I want. Nehemiah chapter 10 and verse 29 says, they clave to their brethren, their nobles, and entered into a curse and into an oath. So to walk in God's law. So we entered into that curse because Deuteronomy 28 and 1 on down says we'll be blessed. But by us not keeping the commandments, we actually entered into a curse. It says, and an oath to walk in God's law, which was given by Moshe, the servant of Yahweh. And to observe, which means to observe means to pay attention, and do all the commandments of the Lord, our God, Yahweh, and his judgments and his statutes, and that we would that we would not give our daughters to the people of the land, nor take their daughters for our sons. So that goes into dealing with other nationalities, dealing with other nationalities of people, and making children with them. For the woman's side and for the man's side, but that's just that's some commandments. That's not in the 10. So it's more than 10 commandments in this Bible. Stop saying that it's just 10 commandments, man. Right? But we entered into that covenant with the Most High, that blood covenant. Right? So let's get, we just read, I actually spoke Deuteronomy 28:1. Says if we keep the commandments, all these things will go good for us. And Deuteronomy 20 and 15, if we don't keep the commandments, then all these curses shall come upon us and overtake us, right? Now, let's actually go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48 so we can find out exactly some of these curses that that we have to go through even to this day. Even the sister Sonya Massey, this is one of the curses that she had to go through, and that we're going through still to this day. It says, because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, right? So, in want of all things, what does that go into? That goes into assistance, help, protection. This is want of all things. She called the police thinking that they was going to come and protect her from a sound she was hearing around the house. Not only did they not actually look around the house, they actually came into the house and looked all in her room and invaded her privacy to a T and pulled the guns out on her and made her feel very uncomfortable in her own house, right? But at the end of the day, you know, if you got a child and you're a woman, that means you had a husband. That's a fact, regardless of the situation. If you had a child and you're a woman, that means you had a husband. Now, however that worked out, that's up to your discretion. But there's supposed to be a hedge of protection in that house. You know, everything should be done in order. You know, if you're dealing with a sister and brother, you got to court that woman to, you know, and you have to at least try to know that person to the best of your ability before you actually consummate marriage by lying down with her. Have some kind of history with her, because this is what happens when you consummate a marriage. You don't, you know, and you don't want to have a man of the Lord. You don't know how to look for it. You don't recognize it when you see it. And even if you might have still left a good man who could have potentially became a man of the Lord later on in his life, but you separated for whatever different or lustful desires that you probably wanted or that you didn't want, or this person didn't have enough money or wasn't financially stable or whatever the case may be. Let me tell you one thing, a man is going to be a man whether he has money or not. Because he's still going to be that hedge of protection. You wouldn't need the so-called white man to come to your house and check you and then ultimately shoot you in your face. Right? So that's just something to think about. Right? It says, on 48, it says, go back to it. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So who put that yoke of iron on our neck? The so-called white man, right? So we know that she called the enemy to her house for protection. That's why this world is all whacked out. It's whacked out and it's confused. This is the land of confusion. Don't nobody know what's going on. And we sound crazy going out here teaching. People think we just some fools out here, man. Right? So let's go from that. And let's get Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 25. We're going to go up. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 25. It says, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 different ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. So we're talking about us being scattered and being and fleeing from one country and fleeing to another country, man. Right? But it says, and the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. So who is our enemies according to the Most High God? Let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 68. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. So we know in Exodus 22 that Egypt goes into slavery and captivity. It's not the name of the place. It's actually a title of the place. It means bondage and slavery. The actual name of Egypt is Matazarian, right? Or Mitzrayim, but in the Hebrew it's Matazarian, right? It means between a rock and a hard place, or double straits, right? Bondage still means bondage, but Egypt is not the name. The actual names Mitzrayim or Matazarian, right? So it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, Matazarian, right? Again with ships, because we know that when we went into captivity in Egypt, we walked down into Egypt, and then we were put into captivity. But this time we're going to go into another form of bondage, another slavery, another Egypt. But this time it's going to be with ships, so we're going to be carried away from that land into another land. By the way, we're up, and you go into the book of Esdras, it'll tell you that it took 1.5 years or 1 year and 3 months to get there. And if you look from that part of West Africa to get to the States, it's about 1.5 years, 1 year and 3 months, right? But it says, whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies. So who's we sold to? We know we were sold into these other nations, but chiefly this is this is the captivity to the so-called European man, the so-called white man, which is not really the real European. But it says, and there you shall be sold into your enemies for slave men and slave women, and no man shall buy you. Right? So no man was able to redeem us out of this captivity. All of our saviors that was supposed to bring us out of this captivity is dead or in jail. Right? So the Most High called these people our enemies. So it's a curse. If we was going to be smitten before our enemies, we would get ran out 7 different directions. And Sister Sonya Massey was smitten before her enemies, man. Right? And the Most High calls the so-called YT man our enemies, right? But it's also prophesied that those same people that put us into this captivity, that shooting us down dead in the street, that those curses were going to turn back around on them, right? So we know that we mourn day in and day out for our sisters and brothers according to the flesh, like Sister Sonya Massey. But we also know that it's a two-way street when you go into the blessings and the curses, and the Most High deals on multiple scales. So we have to be able to accept that certain things, the way we may see it the first time, no, we have to go a little bit further in depth to get the full spectrum of what happened, right? So let's get Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. We're going to stay in the Torah. It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse 7. And the Lord, thy God, so it's still a possessive pronoun, man. And the Lord, thy God, our God, will put all these curses upon thine enemies. So we already know that the enemy is the so-called white man. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68 and numerous other precepts. And on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Right? So who persecuted us, right? Let's get Amos 1 and 11 real quick. This is the book of Amos chapter 1 and 11. Thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom. So for 3 transgressions, which means that was the limit, and for 4, which means he overstepped, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did what? Pursue his brother. So to persecute and to pursue is the same thing, right? You persecute, which means you did pursue. Persecute is when you is a past tense of a pursuit. So if you pursue somebody, you're doing it now. If you persecuted them, you persecuted them then. Still the same thing, right? It says, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword. With the what? With the sword. Who was the sword given to? Esau, Edom. Who was the Most High sword? Esau, Edom. No matter how you go around and try to flip it, still Esau, Edom. And Dennis cast off all pity. He ain't care about the old or the young. And his anger did tear perpetually. So it continued to build. It was perpetual. And he kept his wrath forever. Genesis, the 27th chapter, Genesis 25. That anger is still in Esau, Edom. And it never changed. The Most High said it wouldn't change. Then we just read that the mind of the king is in the hands of the Most High, roughly paraphrasing. So the Most High controls the mind of Esau. So he's going to always have this wrath forever, because the Most High said it. Not because Brother Lamak said it, or the Servants Assembly said it, or Chief Ephraim said it. Right? So now let's go and let's get I'm not gonna get that again, but I'm gonna get Isaac chapter 34 and verse 5. Isaiah chapter 34 and 5. It's like Israel. Salakia. Everybody get there before me, just hold it. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, and verse 5. It says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven, and behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. So what is Idumea? Is a Greek way of saying Edom. So the Most High said that his sword shall be bathed in heaven. So is it talking about an actual sword that the Most High threw up in the sky like Lion-O, and then it turned? No, it's not what it's talking about. The sword is, now this is the prophet Isaiah giving a visual of his sight of what he saw. So he says, a sword shall be bathed in heaven. Now that sword would be an intercontinental ballistic missile, to be an ICBM missile in the sky. It says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Now, when you look up into the sky, that's considered a heaven. After that, there's a second heaven, and then after that, there's a third heaven where the Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai dwells. And the angels of the Lord dwells in that third heaven. So just looking straight up is heaven. So the Most High said that missile shall be bathed in heaven. Right? It says, and upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. And also for you wicked Israelites, man. That's we all under the curses. But 1/3 of y'all gonna feel that ballistic missile right along with Idumea. Right along with Esau Edom. You'll be shaking hands and skipping up and down the damn street talking about I love Esau until that ICBM missile hits you. When you feel the fire, and the wrath of the Most High, because the Most High told you to separate from thine enemy. You refuse to separate from the so-called YT man. You refuse to. You love him. You fight and defend him. When we out teaching the word, what do? You come up and then you give him an out by running your trap, and you don't know what's going on, and you don't know the scriptures. Instead of listening and being humble, right? It says, the sword of the Lord is filled with the what? With the blood. The Most High deals with blood. The Most High is paying them back in blood. It's just that simple. We just read that in the book of Exodus. The Most High deals with blood. It says, it is made fat with the fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams, for the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra. That's Esau Edom. That's in Basra. And a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, in the land of Edom. The Most High is going to put these nations to slaughter. Let's prove that again. Let's get Isaiah chapter 63 and 1. The scriptures going to prove themselves. I'm just a voice that's conveying the scriptures. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom? So who is this man that came from Edom, that's coming from Basra? With dyed garments from Basra. That is Salakia. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So who's our Savior? He's talking about Yahweh Shai. He's mighty. He's Salakia. He's mighty to save, and he's walking in his strength. Right? It says, verse 2, wherefore, which means why? Why art thou red in thine apparel? Why is your clothes red like that? When you supposed to come back in all white? Why is it all red like that? Right? It says, it's crazy. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thine garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? So Yahweh Shai's garment looked like he'd been treading and stomping out red wines, red grapes, Salakia, and making wine in the wine press. It says, this is the word of the most. Yahweh Shai said, I have trodden the wine press alone, and of the people there was none with me. So Israel wasn't with them. Who are the people? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans said, nah, I did this by myself. I didn't bring my brethren along with me. For I will tread them in my anger. The Most High Yahweh Shai said he's going to tread Basra, the so-called white man, in his anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. So it says now their blood is going to be sprinkled on his garments. Now, didn't Moses sprinkle the blood on our garments? So this is the recompense This is blood for blood, if you can understand, right? Now, we'll go to 5. It says, we'll go to 4. It says, for the day of vengeance is in my mind, my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So who is the one that's going to be redeemed? Who's the redeemer? Who is he redeeming? He's purchasing back the children of Israel. It said the day of my purchase, the day of my redemption to redeem my people has come. It says, and I looked and there was none to help. And I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I will tread down the people in my anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. All praise to the Most High God. Yahweh Shalam, man. So let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 real quick to end it off, because at the end of the day, we got to understand that all this is going to come back full circle. You know, it's not going to continue to stay like that forever. You know, the way it is. Sometimes it may seem like it's just going to always be like this. You know, it's always going to be us getting trodden down underfoot. Sisters like Sonya, Massey's going to keep getting invaded and getting shot in her face for checking the stove. But it's not always going to be like that. And this precept is speaking on the day. All right. So this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, the wicked shall, it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Right. So we get out of here, we bust our tail, we go into captivity for 400 years, over 400, almost 500 years. We're still in captivity, and they make no account of our labors, like we did nothing. Right? We always got to remind them of who built this and who did this and who did that, man. Right? It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terror, terrible fear, and shall be ashamed at the strangeness of his salvation. So the chariots are going to bring us to salvation. They're going to save us and deliver us up from the land. So it says, when these other nations see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. Because right now they think everything in the ships is little green aliens, but the scriptures will tell you that the people that's in the ships resemble the so-called black man. All right? It says, and it says, so far beyond all they looked for. So they didn't expect this. They're not going to expect this kind of salvation, because that's not what the wicked preacher and Joel Osteen and all these other wicked pastors and so-called pastorettes have been saying. It says, and they repenting. So now they repenting. Salakia. Or well, not Salakia, but sorry, the most sorry God. I didn't know. It says, for they repenting and groaning of anguish of spirits. Now the spirit is being burnt to smithereens. Shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. The elevated could raise a family, but the black man can't. Calling us niggas and porch monkeys, jigaboos, blackies. What they said on the Django? Shut up, black. You don't have anything. That's how they talk to us, man. Right? It says, we fools. So now they calling themselves fools. Accounted his life madness. They think us living is madness, man. They say in his end, so our death to be without honor. So they figured, man, they just some foolish creatures walking on this earth, and we don't have to bury them. There's no honor in their death. You know, these are all the things, man, that these people feel about us. They don't consider us even exactly 3/5 of a human. It says, we wearied ourselves in the way Salakia. It says, therefore have we erred. Salakia. How is he numbered among the children of God? So how is these niggas and spicks? How are these niggas and spicks numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints? Right? So how is his lot? His lot means his inheritance. So how is his inheritance numbered among the saints of Yahweh, right? Of Yahweh. Now I could go into who the saints is. We all know the Psalms, right? We're not going to go into it, right? But I'm going to read a little bit more. It says, we wearied ourselves in the way of wickedness and destruction. Yea, we have gone through deserts, and there lay no way. But as for the way of the Lord, we have not known it. So you other nations are not going to know it. You other nations ain't going to know it until it's over with. You can keep rape, robbing, and murdering us and killing us, but that's just going to bring more heat on you. It's just going to dump more hot coals on you. And like I said, we pray for the family of Sister Sonya Massey, but we pray more that they come into this truth and they come out of the ways of wickedness, man. And I pray that everything that I said and that we said, because this is a continuation of our Sabbath class with my brother Gabar, right? Is that we just pray that we get salvation, and we say we come together, man, in these last days, and become strong as a people. So with that, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, in the name of his only begotten Son, who the word ignorant because Jesus the Christ. I'm Brother Lamak. That was also my brother Gabar at the beginning. And we are the Servants Assembly. And we're going to say Shalom and Kwame Shalom.